Realm of the Angels. The Fountain of Youth. By Brahmam Astra. "Run, Abraham, run! It's an avalanche!" screamed a tall muscular guy, Avatar, after seeing the huge wall of snow moving towards them. He pulled Abraham sitting on the rock to help get up quickly. Both started to run for their lives. Even without looking back, they could tell the avalanche was catching them fast, because of the tremor and the deafening sound. On the other hand, Abraham, with a lean body carrying a huge backpack, had already started saying his prayers, as he knew he had no chance against the roaring block of snow, especially with his sprained ankle and bag full of all the mountain gear. "Damn it, this leg is literally killing me. Never thought I would go like this," he thought. Just as he was slowing down, he heard Avatar's voice, overpowering the sound of the falling snow behind them. "Just follow me, Abe. This way." Knowing Avatar since his childhood, Abe sensed he had a plan. With new hope and the adrenaline kicking in, he chucked the bag he was carrying to lose some weight, and ran as fast as he could. Avatar had seen a cave while climbing up, and knew it was their only hope to see another day. "Look for the cave on the right," said Avatar. "Ah yes, the cave, it's not that far. We're gonna make it," thought Abe. The slope helped them both descend faster. Avatar, being more experienced among the two, almost started jumping at some points to cover a larger distance, and Abe was surprisingly able to emulate him well. The cave was now close, but so was the mind-numbing sound of the avalanche. They both knew one mistake and they are gone. Avatar had created quite a distance between him and Abe. Abe saw Avatar reach the cave. Abe took a sigh of relief. Yes, we are saved. That's when he felt something big hitting him from behind. Suddenly everything went dark. Tumbling down vigorously, Abe could only see flashes of sunlight until it was all dark, and he lost all his sense of direction. Fear of death gripped him, but he soon realized he had to find something to hold on to, but could do nothing while being dragged into the avalanche until he hit the tree and got knocked out. Meanwhile, Avatar, after reaching a safe distance inside, turned to check on Abe but saw him disappear inside the wave of snow from the cave, when suddenly the cave got shut by the avalanche. Scared, he took a few steps back as the snow came gushing inside the cave. As soon as the snow stopped coming in, he tried to go back out to help Abe. He started carving his way out of the cave right away, as he knew Abe did not have much time. But with no tools to clear the snow, he did not manage to make much of a difference. "I am never going to clear all this with my hands," Avatar screamed in frustration, inspecting his shivering, numb hands. He tried to find something that would help but could not find anything, except a few sticks in that dark cave. "Let's see if this helps," Avatar thought, and started clearing the way with the strongest stick he could find. "Yes, this is working. Hang in there, Abe," he thought, while working even faster. Soon he managed to clear a large chunk of snow with the help of the stick. However, in his excitement, the stick hit hard on the ground and cracked. Unable to notice this in the dark, he kept on digging with the same speed, and hit the ground again and broke it. That strike didn't just break the stick but also his hopes to save Abe. Dejected, he looked at the broken stick and fell on his knees, looking at heaven with teary eyes, yelling "No!" as he knew he had lost his best friend forever. Tears started rolling over his cheeks and fell on his hands, which were now sore and bruised from all the digging. This brought his attention back to the pain in his hands. He tried to pry out the first aid kit in his backpack with his hands, as it was impossible to see inside the back in that dark cave. He found a flashlight in his backpack. "Great! Now I can find something to get out of here," he thought. He pushed the button, but it did not work. He was beginning to lose hope for his own life. Frustrated, he hit the flashlight, and it lit up barely and died again. He realized it could be due to the cold and started warming the batteries. He tried again after a few minutes of rubbing them together. It worked. With his flashlight now on, he had some relief that he could find something that can help him get out. He started going further inside the cave. The cave seemed to be very deep and started to get narrower to the point that it was not possible to walk tall. Avatar hesitated but continued crawling ahead as he had no other option. The flashlight was small and covered only a small area. Avatar desperately was looking for something like a shovel to scoop up the snow. Going further inside, he reached the end of the cave, where he found nothing but a long, narrow tunnel. "Oh hell no! I am not going in there! Not a chance," he thought. He was hungry and tired by now, so he leaned on the wall to save his energy, slowly slid down until he was on the ground completely, and started thinking of his available options. "There is no point in waiting for somebody to rescue me. This cave is away from the normal hiking route. Also, Nobody knows we came here. The cave is totally blocked, and I can't get out unless I find something to make my way through the snow. Maybe this tunnel will lead me out of here. Waiting here any longer will be a waste of time, he thought, slowly closed his eyes and dozed off. After a few hours he woke up and found himself lying on the ground. He got up and scratched his eyes with the back of his hands. How could I sleep after all that? I killed my friend, I will never forgive myself. But if I stay here I will also not survive. I have to find a way out, he thought, wiping his tears. He got up, turned on his flashlight, picked up his backpack, and started going closer to the tunnel. Going just a few steps forward he saw a pile of weird white stones. He went ahead to check, and was shocked to see it was a pile of small bones. Avatar, being a doctor, could identify that they were not human bones but of a smaller animal like the mountain goat that were very common in this area. I was sleeping near a pile of bones, he suddenly realized. Hopefully this must be the work of some hikers, he thought, and left it there to move inside the cave. But he was still worried, as it could have been done by a ferocious wild animal that could still be inside the tunnel. As he reached the tunnel, he used his flashlight to check if he could see the end of the tunnel, but it was too deep. He yelled "hello" into the tunnel, and waited to see if he could hear something back. After being assured that there is nothing dangerous in the tunnel, he cautiously crawled into the tunnel. With the flashlight in one hand and large backpack, he found it difficult to move as the tunnel was getting increasingly narrower. Looking at the tunnel ahead of him, he knew he cannot pass through like this. As he had not gone very far into the tunnel, he slowly crawled back out. As he was coming out, the flashlight focused on something that he had missed to notice earlier, and what he saw made his soul leave his body. He saw imprints of red hands, like somebody had wiped bloody hands on the wall. He was petrified, and was hesitant to go in as he had seen too many Hollywood hillbilly movies to know better. No way I am going in that tunnel now. I know what happens next. I don't want my internals to be eaten by some crackpot cannibal hillbilly. Violent endings of all those movies flashed before his eyes, where the hillbillies barbarically killed everyone. It's settled then, I will wait for the snow to melt but won't go back in. But after a few hours he got bored of sitting and knew he had no other option if he did not want to die there. He mustered the courage and got up to go back in. He pulled a rope from his bag, looked at it, and smiled as he had never thought he would ever need it in this trek, as it was a fairly easy trek. He tied his bag to his leg with it and went back in. I hope it doesn't turn into a dead end, he thought, and entered back in. He found it easy to move this time without the bag, and covered the same distance pretty quickly. While moving, a thought came in his mind. I am all alone, crawling inside a dark, narrow tunnel that probably leads to nowhere with just a tiny flashlight that could die any moment. And it's so silent that all I can hear is my breath and bag dragging behind. This silence is killing me. This is something straight out of my nightmares. Now he was deep into the tunnel, yet the other end was not in sight. He went on without stopping as he wanted to get out of that creepy tunnel as soon as possible. That is, until somebody pulled his bag from behind. Avatar had a mini heart attack at that moment. He quickly turned with his flashlight to see who pulled it. There was no one. The lace of the bag was stuck in a small accretion at the side of the tunnel. I should stop watching scary movies, he thought, removing his bag. Moving a little forward, he could see light at the end of the tunnel. The cave opened into a large chamber. Finally, some space to move, he sighed. A small hole in the ceiling of the chamber helped him see better. He immediately shut the flashlight to save the batteries, and started searching for a way out. He noticed a metal sheet lying at the side behind a huge rock. It could help me scoop my way out, he thought, and wasted no time getting it. As he got close to it, he realized its end was stuck under the large rock. He tried to pull it out, but could only move it a little. Avatar could feel his body had no energy left to move the rock after everything he had gone through that day. He dug his left leg in a small cavity on the ground, and right leg on the rock, and pulled it with all he had, but his grip slipped, and he fell on the ground. After falling, he just kept lying on the ground looking at the hole in the ceiling. Will I get out of here? Wrong question, Avatar. Ask yourself, how can I escape from the hole? He motivated himself. It was not more than a floor or two, enough to raise his interest but just out of his reach, as if God of Luck was taunting him. Who am I kidding? It's too high for me. I wish Abe was here. It's not too high for two people. We would have been out of here in no time, he thought, and kept looking into the deep blue sky with sunlight falling on him. He was in the sun after almost 2 days, but what felt like eternity in the darkness of the cave. He didn't want to get up as he was convinced it was his time, but he still had to try for his mum. He got up slowly as if one had lost all hopes to get out of the cave. As he was getting up, he thought he saw somebody in a dark corner at the opposite end of the cave. He immediately removed his flashlight and checked again, but the weak light from the tiny flashlight could hardly reach that far. He moved closer slowly and cautiously, grabbing a brittle stick that he saw lying on the floor in one hand and a flashlight in the other, which even he knew was of not much help if somebody attacked. Once he got close enough, he saw what he was most afraid of. Everything was dark and blur in the corner, but he could still make out it really was a hillbilly, sitting on a small table-shaped rock, which was covered with deerskin. He turned back and started to run back towards the tunnel. When he was about to enter the tunnel, he stopped to look back if the man followed him, but thankfully, he did not. So Avatar stopped and thought about it for a moment. He is not following me, maybe he's not a threat. So he mustered the courage and went back. This time he got even closer. Avatar was taken aback by the sheer size of that man. He himself was more than 6 feet well built, but this man sitting in front of him was even taller and had a good build himself. He was sizing him up in case he attacks. Can I take on him? Maybe for some time I can hold him, but hope he doesn't. If anybody joins him, then I am a sitting duck. He was very close now and could see the man very clearly. He made sure to not flash the light directly on him or he could wake him. The man was in his prime and almost naked, except a small piece of jute cloth wrapped around his privates. He had sharp features like American Indians with golden brown skin. He had long braided hair that reached the ground. He saw a mug and a long wooden stick lying beside him. He didn't want to wake him up as things could take a bad turn fast, so he kept an eye on the caveman and started checking if there was some weapon with which he could attack him. He found nothing, so the only thing with which he could attack him was his wooden stick. He needed to seize the stick for his protection, but really it was just to feel a little secure. He slowly moved towards him, and was able to pick his stick without waking him, or so he thought. The man opened his eyes and saw Avatar in an awkward position stealing his stick. He could have attacked Avatar as he was very close, and not in the position to attack or defend. "Who are you and what are you doing here?" the man asked Avatar. Avatar, startled by this, pulled himself back but couldn't control his balance, and fell on the side wall of the cave. He quickly recovered himself, and stood in an attacking pose showing the troglodyte his stick. Avatar asked the man the same question. "No, first you tell me who you are and why are you here?" The man sensed his stress and said, "Don't worry, I won't do anything to you. I live here. But the real question is who you are and how did you get here?" He had a strong deep voice with a nice softness in his tone. Avatar eased a little but still did not put his guard down. "I am Avatar. I was hiking in the mountains but got trapped in this cave because of the avalanche. I don't want anything from you. I just want to get out of here." "Oh, so the cave is shut." Something similar had happened years ago. It took a fortnight for the snow to melt. But it might not take that long this time as the ice layer is much less this season. "I think it could still take days," Avatar added. "You seem hungry. Here, take these fruits." The man pointed towards a small pile of fruits stacked in the corner not very far from Avatar's feet. Even though very hungry, Avatar refused. "No, I just need to get out of here. My friend is still out there helpless. Just tell me if there is any other way. I see that part of the ceiling has collapsed. I can lift you up. Let's see if you can get out that way." Avatar nodded in affirmation as it was the only plan they had, but was still wary of the man's intentions. Avatar asked the man to go first, so he could keep an eye on him. The man started walking towards the spot, and Avatar followed. The man had grace and confidence in his walk, totally unfazed that some intruder had come and was threatening him with his own stick. This really surprised Avatar. "You didn't even look back once. Aren't you afraid I could have hit you from behind easily? Who are you?" The man smiled and asked, "Who do you think I am?" Avatar wanted to say cannibal hillbilly but resisted and said, "How would I know? You could be anybody." "Yes, you are right," the man replied. "What does that even mean?" "I am asking who are you?" Avatar asked again. "I am Cosmos," the man replied. "So he is not a cannibal, he is just a crackpot," the Avatar concluded in his head. The man continued, "Don't worry, you will know soon. But now is not the time, you must hurry." Avatar ignored his blabbering, removed the rope from his bag and tied it to the center of the stick. They both hopped on the rock and started to judge if they both could reach the top of the ceiling. It looked possible as both were pretty tall. Avatar asked the man to boost him up but also reminded him that he still had the stick. and if the man tried anything he could hurt him. The man lifted him pretty easily, but Avatar still was a few inches short. I am close, just a few inches more. But Avatar was already on the man's shoulders. He came back down. The man asked for Avatar's bag, and stood on it, and this worked, and Avatar was able to climb out of there. After getting out, Avatar hung a stick across the cavity, so that the man could climb up with the help of the rope. The man was not sure if the stick would be able to withstand his weight. The man asked Avatar to go find his friend he will join soon and flung his bag to Avatar. Avatar, without wasting any time, started to find Abraham and ran to the point where he last saw him. Madame Kudu of Bichutta Tahkulat Setid. All he could see was a blanket of snow covering the valley. He could not see the opening of the cave as it was completely covered, and so were the rocks on which they sat for some rest during the hike. There were a few uprooted trees popping from the snow. It was like finding a needle in a haystack, but the Avatar was very determined, and would not rest before finding his friend. He kept calling Abraham's name, but there wasn't any reply. A lot of time had passed since the incident, and chances of even finding him were slim. After some time the man joined Avatar in his search. He inquired about Abraham's attire and last location. Based on the details, the man pointed to a direction where he could be. Avatar agreed. The man created a small snowball and sent it rolling down to confirm if it takes the same route as they had guessed. But the first ball disintegrated, before going much further. He tried again, and this time the ball followed the same trajectory, until it suddenly changed direction and took a path towards the woods before finally hitting the tree. So, I guess we will have to split and call each other if we find him, the man said, and chucked an apple towards Avatar before they started their descent towards the spot. It was difficult to move in the thick snow. Avatar was amazed at how the man was almost naked, and completely exposed to cold, yet was going toe-to-toe with him. Doesn't this guy feel cold? I am freezing in my snowsuit. He really has adapted to living here, he thought. The doctor in him couldn't resist and asked, "Hey, you look a little wet, and do you always dress like this even outside? This is dangerous, even though you are currently not showing any signs, but you could get hypothermia. You should avoid such exposure to extreme cold." The man smiled. "Thank you for showing concern, but I have been doing this for a long time now. I am used to all this. In fact, you can also say that I enjoy the cold now." Avatar, being from a warm city, found this quite amusing. I saw Pmshalk. They finally reached the point of the split, and they both parted their ways. Avatar went towards the woods, and the man went the other way. The ice layer was even thicker near the woods, and Avatar had to really struggle taking each step. Each step he took felt like taking 10, yet Avatar kept calling Abraham's name in a hope of reply, but he did not get any reply. Meanwhile, even the man had reached another area. The area had some uprooted trees and a couple of strong trees that had survived but still had suffered damage. He also saw some debris of plastic and hiking gear, but that could have been from other hikers as well. But he still checked every piece of equipment, and the area near it thoroughly. Avatar near the woods saw Abraham's bag barely popping out of the snow. He recognized it right away and was ecstatic. "I found him coming fast," he said, and ran towards him as quickly as he could, which was still pretty slow in that thick snow. He came closer to the bag and gently tried to pull it, as Abraham could be injured. But it was just his bag, and still no sign of Abraham. He figured, if his bag is here, Abraham must be very close, not aware of the fact that Abraham had left his heavy bag at the top to keep up with Avatar. By now, even the man had come, as he had heard Avatar calling him. As soon as Avatar saw him, he shook his head in despair, and the man took the hint. This was his bag when we started running for shelter. Its belt is also not broken. This means he removed it himself. He must be very close, or he must have found a shelter nearby. "Do you know any place nearby?" Avatar asked the man. "I don't know any. But it's highly unlikely he would walk away after getting caught in an avalanche," he replied. Thinking he must be close to the bag, they both narrowed their search to a nearby area. They were at it all day, but still there was no sign of Abe. It was almost night, and having known about the risk of wild animals in the area, Avatar asked the man to return to the cave. The man inquired why he was not coming back. "I cannot rest until I find him. Let it take many days, I don't care. But I cannot let you suffer because of me. You have already done more than I could ask for. Thank you very much." The man smiled and replied, "Don't worry, we will find him soon. I don't think we will find him here. Let's check the spot where I was searching earlier." They both rushed towards the spot as it was getting dark very fast. While getting there, the man said, "Don't worry, I have searched most of it already. The snow is not as thick there, so it will be easier. But remember, tomorrow is the new moon, so there won't be much light once the sun sets completely. The area is full of debris from the top as well. I have searched most of it in the morning. I was about to check the trees but heard you call and came to you." They soon reached the spot. It was exactly like how the man had described, with a lot of debris. "You search there," the man told Avatar, pointing in the direction of the completely toppled tree partially submerged in the snow. And he himself went towards the two strong upright trees. Avatar checked the full length of the tree. He even tried to check below as much as possible, as the possibility of Abraham crushed under the tree could not be ruled out. He did not want this thought to be true, but did not want to leave any stones unturned. It was now dark, and they could hear that the nocturnal animals had now taken over. "Abraham, you fool! Where the hell are you hiding?" he said in frustration. Avatar kept calling his name in a last-ditch attempt, but he did not get any reply, instead heard the man calling him, so he reluctantly went as he wasn't finished checking everything near his spot. "What is it? Did you find something?" he said while walking towards the man. He saw the man was just beside the tree on his knees digging in the ground. Did he find him? Hope he did, he thought. Now the reluctance in his walk had been replaced by a sense of hope which could be seen in his speed. As he got next to the man and saw what he was digging, he joined him digging right away. Joe, it was him. It really was Abe, half buried in snow. After clearing the snow, the first thing Avatar tried to check was that he was okay, but he was unconscious. He then checked for a pulse. It was present but very weak. He then went on to check for any injuries, and found a couple of injuries to his head and leg. They both carefully lifted him and started taking him to the cave. The man asked Avatar to move towards the opening of the cave from where he came in. Avatar quickly replied, "No, the way is blocked. I saw it today itself, and there is no way to get inside from there." The man insisted that it would be very difficult to bring his friend down with a rope, and opening of the cave must now be clear, as he had made provisions for it before coming. Avatar knew the man had good intentions and believed him, as until now he had only helped him. He had started to trust the man, as without his help Avatar would have not found Abe. As they went closer to the cave, Avatar was surprised as he could see the cave opening, and some of the snow near the cave had melted. How did he do it in such a short time? He joined me soon after I climbed up. I was working at it for almost a day, and could not find a way out, he thought. As they reached the mouth of the cave, Avatar was eager to ask the man about his secret. Even though most of the cave was still covered, they could enter the cave, even carrying an unconscious Abe. He saw a piece of half-burnt log of firewood. The man smiled and said, "Now you know why it took me so long to join you. I wasn't sure if this would work, so I also sprinkled some salt on it." He is a smart man. Not what I thought earlier, Avatar thought. They carefully took Abe inside and placed him in a relatively clean, smooth corner. The man went to the back of the cave and disappeared in the tunnel. Avatar started rubbing Abe's hands and feet, removed his clothes and put on his warm clothes on Abraham. The man came back with the deerskin and put it on Abe. He also took the piece of firewood and lit it on fire. This gave them a chance to inspect his wounds as well. Avatar had a first aid kit in his bag, and started tending to the wound on his head. Now all they had to do was to wait for him to recover. They both had some fruits and sat near the fire next to Abe. The man went back to his spot, and Avatar kept checking Abe's vitals regularly. Everything looked normal, so Avatar got up, and started checking around the cave. As he had nothing else to do, he saw the bloody hands on the wall, and he again remembered why he was wary of the guy. In the middle of this thought, he felt the cold breeze coming through the cave opening. This could have doused the fire near Abe, so he stood near the opening to restrict the airflow. As he was there, he knew he would not be able to block it for long, so he went out to find something to block it for the night. It was a cold, dark night in the Himalayan mountain ranges, but he knew what he wanted, and where to find it. It was still very dangerous, as many wild animals roamed this part of the mountains, especially at night. But he did not think about it, and his only focus was on getting what he wanted. He got there quickly and took the piece of cloth from a tent he saw in the debris, checked for holes in it and found it would work. He got a sense of satisfaction after coming all the way to get it successfully. He started climbing back up to the cave, which he could clearly see because of the fire. He glanced towards the sky, and was mesmerized by the number of stars he could see, which was not possible back in the city. He just wanted to stop and stargaze for a while, but decided to first reach the security of the cave. He reached the cave and covered the entry with the cloth, and sat outside gazing at the starlit sky. This was probably the first time since the avalanche. He was calm, enjoying what he was doing. He would have loved to spend a lot more time had it not been so cold outside. He went in and covered it back again. The warmth of the cave, especially near the fire, just felt like the best thing in the world after being out in the cold. He again checked Abe's vitals, and laid down near the fire, and closed his eyes. When he again opened his eyes, he saw the fire had extinguished, leaving behind ashes of the wood he saw. Before closing his eyes, he looked outside. And it was dawn already. He checked his watch, and it was 6 a.m. He had slept for hours, but it felt like he had just closed his eyes. He started thinking, it's already 3 days now they would have started searching for us, and should get here today if everything goes right. I'll be having a great dinner in my house watching the big screen TV. While Avatar was daydreaming, he saw the man coming in the cave with some roots and berries for them. Life Itzy. How is he? The man asked, looking at Abe, and handed the eatables to him. Avatar checked him and replied, better than yesterday. He felt the man helped him all day yesterday and brought him food as well, but he had one concern and wanted to ask him about the bloody hands near the tunnel. Before he could ask him about it, the man said, here, have these berries. But be careful, after eating enough of those you will get its juices on your hand, you just cannot help it. Go ahead and try it for yourself, these are quite tasty. Avatar was apprehensive about eating wild berries and kept the berries in his hand, but when he saw the guy ate them and got the juice all over his hand. He then wiped his hands on the wall of the cave, making the same mark. Avatar did not waste a second eating the berries. They truly were delicious. He was already hungry. As he had barely eaten for a couple of days now, he could not stop himself from eating everything the man brought. Thank you, this is so good. I wish we had this back home. Avatar was about to say something but stopped, because he thought he heard Abe. He turned to look at him and saw Abe had barely opened his eyes, and was trying to call him in a very weak voice. He rushed towards him, taking his head in his lap. Abe was not clearly audible, so he brought his ear close to him. I always thought I would go to heaven, but after seeing you I think I am in hell, he said with a stupid smirk on his face. I missed you, you fool, Avatar said, hugging him tightly, a little too tightly for Abe's liking. Why did you save me? To kill me again, said Abe. Avatar got the cue and placed Abe comfortably. He inquired about the pain, and Avatar pointed to his head and his foot. They were already aware about his head injury and had already put on a band-aid. But the foot injury seemed internal. After examining his left foot, he noticed swelling. Abe was barely able to move it without screaming in pain. This seemed like a fracture, and Avatar couldn't do much about it. He asked Abe to not move the leg too much. The man inspected his leg, and without saying anything, headed out of the cave. Avatar was curious to find where the man was going, so he went to the edge of the cave and saw the man going towards the woods. He turned back to check up on Abe and saw him enjoying the food. These are good, aren't they? He asked. I have forgotten my pain after eating them. These berries would be a hit back in the city, Abe replied. After having some food, Abe felt a new energy, and that showed in his voice. I feel much better now. How long was I out in the snow? He asked curiously. About 2 days in the snow, and a night in this cave. I had lost all hopes of finding you, Avatar replied. Don't worry, you won't get rid of me that easily, he replied, smiling. Hey, you should give your doctor friend some credit for this, Avatar added. If he is any good, he'll fix my leg as well. Abe came with a quick reply. Avatar had no comeback for that and started to avoid eye contact. Sensing this, Abe added, I knew you cheated in your med school, or you would be more confident. Avatar shook his head and said, that's what you did, and yet you are a professor. Abe chuckled and replied, that is so true for all professors. But that's how we know which of our students studied, and which of them copied. That just made me better at my job, unlike someone here who can't even fix a fracture. After this friendly banter, Abe inquired Avatar about the strange man that brought them food. That is a mystery to me as well. I first thought he was some cannibal hillbilly like from the movies we used to watch. Then I realized he is a nice guy but somewhat crazy. When I asked him who he was, he said some random words that made no sense. But he doesn't seem that way. He is helpful. Also, I would have never got out of here and found you without his help, said Avatar. And then they went on talking about what they went through after getting separated in the accident. The man returned with some leaves and weeds from the forest, and started grinding them to make a paste. Both Avatar and Abe were observing the man's actions. He also offered them water which had brought back from the woods. But Avatar had smartly stored the snow in his bottle, and kept it near the fire that night. So they replied, "No, we already have plenty, you may have it." He first drank the water, then came towards them, looked at Abe's leg, and slowly started applying the paste on it. Avatar interrupted him, asking what he was applying to the injured leg. He tried to explain to him that his leg had a fracture, and nothing could be done about it, except a cast to protect it, which was clearly not available. The man convinced them, saying that he had earlier fixed such injuries using this paste of medicinal herbs, and they had nothing to lose even if they tried it. Avatar was a little skeptical but looked at Abe to check if he was okay with this. Abe did the same and both agreed to give it a shot. Avatar, having been interested in alternative medicine, had heard about such rare plants earlier as well. After getting their approval to go ahead, the man applied a thick layer of the paste on Abe's leg with a soft touch. The paste had a weird smell, and Abe did not like it, but they learnt to ignore it. As they had to fix his leg, or else they would be stuck there longer, also Avatar had no better plan. While he was applying the medicinal paste, Abe complained about the pain. Avatar gave him some painkillers after the man assured them both that this was normal. Avatar looked outside. It was a clear, sunny day, just perfect. "I think by now the rescue teams must have begun their rescue operations," he said, still looking out. Abe was a bit apprehensive and said, "Won't they check the regular path first? It was your brilliant idea to drag me down this serene route. I wish I had stayed home. I knew I shouldn't have come on this trip. Hey, I haven't been here before. This route was suggested by my hiker friends. You must admit this route was more scenic and less touristy than the regular route. How could I have predicted the avalanche? Don't put this on me." Avatar replied in a slight, angry tone. He also suggested to Abe that, quote, "I could leave you here to go to the nearest village to find help. The village was just a day's hike away, so it would take me 2 days to get back. You will be here all alone and nothing to fend off the wild animals." Avatar did not want to leave Abe behind in his current medical condition. He just said it to have one up in the banter. Abe didn't want that either, but also didn't want to back down, so said, "I will be fine, you can go if you want. I have this man to help me, he is more resourceful anyway." This enraged Avatar. "Do you even know who this guy is?" he said, pointing at the guy who was standing there awkwardly hearing them squabble. This was the moment both realized they didn't really know this guy at all. Abe was under the impression that Avatar knew about the man, as he could see he trusted him with. Avatar explained that with everything happening so fast, he never got the chance to even have a formal introduction. They both turned their attention towards the man who had a smile on his face. "Who are you?" They both spoke together. "I am the Cosmos," the man replied. "What does that even mean?" Abe asked, looking at Avatar to check if he had any clue. "I asked this to him earlier and he said the same thing. It doesn't even make any sense." Avatar whispered in Abe's ears. "I think he's a lunatic. Why would anyone be here in the dark cave anyway? This could be a case of schizophrenia," he added. Abe said to Avatar, "I've changed my mind. Forget what I said earlier, you stay here with me, please." The man said nothing but kept smiling while listening to them. He could see mixed emotions of confusion, suspicion and fear on their faces. He finally decided to end their misery and said, "People in the nearby villages call me Tatwale Baba. Seems about right since you are wearing just a jute cloth and that is what it means in the local language," Abe added. They then inquired about Tatwale Baba, about why he stayed there. He did not give the exact reason but just said it's a long story. Both were curious to know why somebody in their sane mind came to live in the dark cave away from the world. Baba said this is what he liked the peace and quiet there, away from people and noise. This gives him happiness. Avatar, being an introvert, could understand the feeling, as he too sometimes had thoughts to get away from everyone, but this was too extreme for him. He had always dreamt of going on a solo adventure, travel the world. Abe, being an extrovert, found this thought unthinkable and couldn't understand why anyone would willingly stay there even for a day. They then asked him for how long he was living there. "I have lost count, to be honest, but I suppose more than 20 years, Baba said. Avatar knew he was very comfortable in the cave, as if he had lived there for a long time, but did expect him to stay for 20 years. Abe was quite shocked to know this too. He didn't believe Baba and couldn't help himself from asking, "How is that possible? You are lying, you must be. Nobody can live in this place for that long." He glanced through the cave to check if he missed something. "What's on the other side of the tunnel? Is there something so good?" he asked, looking at Avatar. Avatar shook his head in negative. "It's the same but even darker," he added. Avatar realized Baba would be just 20 years of age when he decided to live here. You look about my age, so you must be in your 30s or maybe 40s, so you are saying you spent your entire adult life in this cave? You are missing out on so much, Avatar said with a little disbelief and pity in his tone. Baba smiled and told them that he also lived in many other places, before finally settling down in the cave. He also assured them that he was very happy since he's been there, and didn't find a need to go anywhere. Baba silitis them what to musbees is enough about me, tell me, why are you guys here? Avatar replied, I just love to travel to new places, especially hiking in such mountains. This type of trip gives me a different adrenaline rush, which I can't explain, but I know I love it. There is also peace and quiet that I just don't get in my hectic schedule. It's really a need for me to charge my batteries with this cold, clean air and water, which I think I will never get back in the city. When I got a chance to come here, I didn't even have to think about it. And you are surprised to know I live here, Baba said with a really wholesome laugh. When he laughed, his entire body moved as if it had joined him in the laughing. It was so contagious that both had a smile on their face seeing this. He then asked Abe, did you come here for the same reason? To which Abe replied, no, I am here because my friend dragged me here against my will. I was so happy and comfortable in my warm home with a soft bed. Although I do not mind the views and fresh air, what's the use of it when you are in pain and can't even walk? All this is because of him. Oh sure, blame the avalanche on me, Avatar replied instantly. Your banter is quite amusing, Baba said. Yup, I taught him that, Abe said, as even in his condition, he just could not miss the chance of taking the credit. Avatar, being blamed for all things bad, decided to take some revenge. He slowly touched his finger to Abe's injured leg. Abe screamed in pain on top of his lungs, which even echoed in the cave. You'll pay for this, Abe said, still visibly in pain. Sorry, I could not stop myself from doing this. You deserved it anyway, Avatar replied with a wicked smile on his face. Baba got up and started to go into his cave, but Avatar stopped him as he wanted to know about him. Upon his persistence, Baba agreed to tell his story. I was a normal boy who grew up on a farm. As I became a teen, many people suggested that I join the military because of my large stature. I even joined the army, but I did not find it satisfying. It was not my calling. I left the army in about 2 months and came here to the mountains. I stayed in many ashrams in the foothills of Himalaya, but even those places became very busy for me. Later, after many years, I found this cave, which was occupied by an old man. But as I got here, he called me in, and we had a long conversation for half a day. He then told me I could stay here and left the cave to go deep into the Himalayas. Since that day I have been here, as this is not on the traditional hiking path. Not many people pass by this cave and even few enter the cave. You were the first person to actually come into the inner chamber in many years. I had never seen anybody who hated people so much, Abe said. Baba with his smile. That is not true, I love everyone. Abe replied, yeah, me too, except one guy who almost killed me. And now we are stuck here for God knows how long. I had so many plans for this trip. Avatar replied, sorry for ruining your sightseeing plans, but you can thank me anytime for saving your life. Abe replied, thank you for what? My broken leg. I could have been sipping lattes in swanky cafes roaming along the quaint riverside ashrams. Have you been to the Beatles ashram? It's not far from here, I always wanted to visit it, he asked Baba. Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I was present on the inauguration day of the ashram, Baba said. That's not possible. You are bluffing. The ashram is very old. It could be older than 60 years. How could you be there? Abe said in disbelief. Maybe I don't look my age, Baba said, smiling. Really? How old are you? Abe said. Honestly, I don't remember the exact date, but I was born in the late 80s, early 90s. Abe dismissed him, saying that's when he was born too. It was way after the start of the ashram. He dismissed him, thinking he has become delusional. Avatar thought he had probably misheard which ashram they were talking about, and tried to clarify it with him. I am talking about the ashram, which was founded before you were born. It's a famous tourist site now. You must have mistaken it for a different ashram. No, I am talking about the same one. I can see why you are confused, but the truth is, I was born in the 1880s. Baba replied. Avatar was about to say something but stopped midway after hearing this, looked at Abe and both started laughing hysterically. I told you this guy is a crackpot, Avatar said, still laughing, to which Abe replied, man, I don't know what he has applied on my leg, maybe some random leaves. Avatar stopped laughing and his expressions became slightly serious. Don't touch the paste, or at least keep your hands away from your face, who knows, it could be poisonous. I don't think so, He handled the plants and immediately drank water, remember? But you are right, we can never be cautious enough. He could have gotten immune to such plants in all these years, 1880s. Remember? Abe said, chuckling. A stoic Baba was listening very patiently to all this, as if he was expecting this reaction from them, or this was not the first time he has got this reaction. They both, after completing their discussion, turned their attention towards Baba again. You are saying you are older than my grandfather, but you almost look as young as me? At least make up a story that is a little believable. Are you some kind of criminal hiding away from the police? Abe said in a strong tone to check his reaction, but there was none. Before Baba could say anything, Avatar asked him, I don't think you are a criminal, as you have only helped me, but then you do realize, nobody will believe your fake story, especially your age. I mean, I know people get insecure about their age, even I don't reveal my age to strangers, sometimes I also lie about it, but this is so out of whack. You are also hiding your name and now age, maybe you are not comfortable revealing your personal information with us. I totally respect that, it's your choice, but all I can say is you can tell the truth. Baba nodded to deny. Abe added with a lot of concern. Then what is it? You know there is a name for this medical condition, it's called schizophrenia. But don't worry, I can possibly help you live a better life. But first you need to tell me when you started experiencing this. Baba denied and kept trying to explain them that he was telling the truth, but they were not convinced. Abe said, okay, I believe you are who you say you are, and really born way back in the 1880s. Yet you look so young, as if you are in your 30s. Can you tell me which secret anti-aging formula you have discovered? We will become rich if you just spill the beans. Avatar stopped Abe and asked him to realize how ridiculous this sounded, as he had made his diagnosis and was almost convinced the man needed some psychiatric help. They both have a lot of back and forth about this topic, while Baba is just besides them, totally unfazed. Abe finally tells Baba, look Baba, it's not really easy to believe you, but looking at your knowledge of natural medicine, I am convinced that what you are saying is true. Can you share what you have been taking all these years, to live so long without aging? You can trust me Baba, he's even in medicine, yet he has no idea about it. The world needs to know about it. It will be a crime if this medicine is not shared with the world. Baba nodded in negative and said there was no medicine. He had knowledge of some anti-aging herbs, but he did not use them extensively. I think you're upset about Avatar's gratuitous remarks, he can be a little rude sometimes, but you please ignore him. Abe said, giving a look of frustration to Avatar, who shook his head in disbelief as he knew this was a lost cause. This has the potential to change the whole world. If not for us, do it for the good of all the people in the world, he added. Could he say anything cornier? Avatar thought. Trust me, I do not lie ever. Although I take medicinal herbs once in a while, but this is not because of any medicine but something else, Baba replied, and took a short pause. Avatar jumped in before he could say anything more. Oh, I get it, it's because you have found the fountain of youth. Hearing this, Baba's smile widened. Yes, you are right. After hearing this, both gave each other a look as to convey that this guy was off his rockers. Avatar, now totally convinced with his diagnosis, wanted to understand the severity of the guy's problem. It was now necessary to check the level of potential threat this guy could possess to their safety. He was about to ask him the location of the Fountain of Youth. But Abe jumped the gun and said sarcastically, sure, this is way more believable than some medical plant I was thinking about. Damn, I really thought I was going to finally be rich. Avatar then quickly stopped Baba from speaking further and asked Baba, no, we should hear what this man has to say. Baba, please tell us everything about this Fountain of Youth. Baba could sense what both of them were thinking about him. Look, I know how this sounds. You must be finding it hard to believe. Maybe also thinking that this man has lost his mind being here alone. Nobody will believe this if you don't know the whole truth. Avatar then asked him about its location, whether it was nearby. Baba said with his ever-present smile, yes, it's here. Is it near this cave? Can you show us the spot? Abe asked. Suddenly Abe remembered Baba had asked him for water earlier when he came back from the woods with his medicines. But he refused. He knew this could not be true. But deep down he was asking himself the question, what if it was the water from the Fountain of Youth? And if he foolishly lost the chance to be young again? Now he got really interested in what Baba had to say on Avatar's question. Baba said, yes, I can show you the path, but I cannot take that journey with you. This is a path that you need to travel alone. But let me warn you, it is not easy, and most who try to find it wander off. Only very few who truly deserve to find it will reach their destination. It is not for everyone. Are you still interested? Although still not convinced, a train of thoughts had already started in the back of Abe's mind. This sounds like a real adventure. It would be so much fun if this is even remotely true. But it must be deep in the woods, that's why he took so much time to come back earlier today. But how is it possible for me with this leg? This is just my luck as always, he sighed. In his excitement, he then asked Baba, "Hey, can I go there with my broken leg? I really want to go." "Slow down, Indiana Jones. Let him finish," said Avatar, who was keenly listening and analyzing the story, as he was only interested in diagnosing the extent of the man's illness. Currently number. Only the worthy reach there. You will have to prove yourself first, replied Baba. Okay, maybe Avatar, or you can bring some of it for me? Abe asked, unconvinced. He was already expecting a negative reply. Avatar shook his head with an expression that portrayed feelings which he then brought to words. Really, Abe? I am not sure who's the crazy one here. I see your head injury seems to have affected your thinking. To which Abe replied, hey, you gotta shoot your shots. Baba replied, no, currently he cannot even do it for himself, let alone doing it for you. This hit the nerve of a very competitive Avatar who now wanted it to be real, just to show him that he could do it. They both asked him to show them the path, but Baba wanted to at least check if they were up for it. Baba saw it was getting dark already, so he did not tell them anything but gave them time to think if this is what they truly wanted, as their lives would not be the same again. He got up and went to his chamber, leaving both of them curious and confused. After he left, both of them agreed to go ahead without wasting any time, but for very different reasons. Abe was interested because he wanted to believe that the story could be real, even if there was just 1% chance to find the Fountain of Youth, he would take it. He was picturing himself showering in the Fountain of Youth, and going back to being 21 again. I can also sell magical water to the wealthiest people in the world. I can see myself bathing in dollars, he told Avatar. Avatar face palmed after hearing this and couldn't stop himself from saying, are you that naive, Ab? You really fell for that. The man is sick, and needs help. Now I think he's not the only one that needs help around here. To this, Abe replied, quote, whatever you say, I know you want this to be true as well. Everyone would, but there is a difference in wanting and knowing, and I know it's just stupid to believe that. Avatar tried to bring some sense into Abe. Okay, fine, but if he tells the location tomorrow, you will go, right? While you are at it, please bring some for me. Abe tried to convince Avatar. Avatar denied any interest in going on the fool's quest, but encouraged Abe to try his luck when he gets fit. Come on, you dragged me all the way here, just to reach the mountaintops for views which almost killed us both, and we are still stuck in a cave with a strange man. We did all this for some cheap adventure that could still kill us. Isn't that more adventurous and way more rewarding than this? If not, we will still have a great story for our friends and family. Abe was desperately trying every trick to convince Avatar. Avatar finally gave in with a condition that he will only do it when he's fully convinced about it. Abe agreed. Avatar also reminded him about the dangers he was talking about, but Abe dismissed it, saying, don't worry about it, we are not that far away from the nearest village if we need anything, and there aren't many wild animals left in these parts, so you're good. There are snakes here, but they won't trouble you unless you do something stupid. I guess there are still wolves and snow leopards, but they are too few in numbers. Maybe they are mainly concentrated in secluded areas, and my guess is that's where we will find the fountain. Avatar smiled after hearing this and replied, I think you have started believing that it's real. Also, about the wild animals, when I was alone in this cave on the night of our accident, I could hear the howling of the wolves, and let me tell you, they were not that far. I was really scared for you. Just for me? Abe asked, smiling, and Avatar smiled back and said, and me. Avatar rechecked Abe's wounds, and asked him to sleep, as it would help him recover faster. Abe closed his eyes, and slept off fairly quickly. Avatar added some wood to the fire, and went for a short stroll just outside the cave, to see the starry sky again. He didn't know what it was, but he just loved stargazing. This being a new moon's night, nothing was visible outside, everything was very quiet, the only thing he could hear was the wind flowing on the mountain. He tried to go out of the cave to get a better look of the sky, but he couldn't bear the cold piercing wind, and headed straight back in towards the fire. So cold. That's enough stargazing for today, he thought. Next day, very early in the morning, Baba came to check up on Abe. Both of them were still fast asleep next to the ashes of extinguished fire. He tried to wake them up, but only Abe woke up. Avatar still did not wake up. Baba said, "Hello Abraham, how did you sleep at night?" To which Abe replied, "Oh hello Baba, I slept like a baby. Surprisingly I feel refreshed." Avatar does not wake up easily, you'll have to kick him. I would have loved to do it myself if it wasn't for my leg. Even Avatar woke up hearing them talk. He woke up. Would have loved to see you get kicked. Abe taunted Avatar. Avatar touched Abe's leg saying, "Oh really, do you want to kick me with this leg? I am ready." Abe was about to scream, but he realized that the leg did not hurt as much as it did yesterday. He now knew the paste on his leg worked, so he immediately told Baba about this. Avatar also started inspecting the leg and paste, and the difference in just a day was surprising for him. How did it heal so fast? The herb really works. I will have to take the same samples back, Avatar thought. I had a feeling this man is the real deal. I thought about what you said yesterday, and I believe you. That's why you live here alone, as you have to protect the fountain from the world. Or is your youth only because you use its water regularly? Which one is it? I knew I would have to hear some crazy stories on this trip, but expected it from a different guy, Avatar thought in his mind. He then asked Baba to reveal the location. He was ready to take any risk to get to the fountain. He even offered to take Abe with him if he wanted to. This was music to Abe's ears, as it was very obvious how desperately he wanted to know about the fountain. As always, Baba with a smile said, "I will definitely tell you about it, as I liked your resolve and curiosity. It is very important you have that, as without it your goal will not be achieved. As I have previously said, this path of the fountain is to be shared only with those who are truly worthy, or else it could be disastrous for not only them, but also for the entire world." Abe turned to Avatar saying, "How will we prove our worthiness? We don't have Thor's hammer, do we?" Avatar wanted to shrug him off, but the movie lover in him just could not help but chuckle a bit. Baba continued, "I know the secret of Thor's hammer as well. Do you want to know how to get to it?" Avatar's theory of mental illness was getting backed up with this statement. "While you are at it, please also tell us the location of Excalibur. It looks like this guy has a disorder of thinking he knows everything, and to back it up he conjures stories out of thin air. I am quite sure now," he thought. But Abe was still cautiously hopeful, especially when there was an added bonus about his childhood superhero Thor. He could not take any more of this suspense and asked Baba to tell the secret without any waiting even for a minute. But Baba did exactly that. He took a long pause and told Abe to have patience, as he would tell him everything that he wanted to know. But first he needed to know them first. Behasculatation. Baba said, "I'll answer all your questions only after I am convinced you both are noble men, worthy of this secret knowledge. I always wanted to get my hands on that hammer to know if I am worthy. This is my childhood dream coming true," Abe said with a spark in his eyes. He was already daydreaming about standing on top of the mountain raising the hammer high. Looking at him, Avatar replied sarcastically, "I think they have one in the theme park in my city. I can help you fulfill your dream." Abe replied, "Why do you always have to spoil it? I know it's not possible, but why not think positive? At least that thought gave me joy for some time." Avatar nodded in agreement. After all, Avatar himself advised his patients to always stay positive. Ibe continued, "Also, you should never say never. There's always a small chance this could be true." Avatar shook his head in disagreement and thought, "He almost had me there." They both now turned to Baba, who was waiting for their conversation to complete. Avatar asked him, "How do you judge if I am worthy or not?" "It is not me who will judge your worthiness. It is someone else you'll come to know if you begin your journey to the fountain. I can only guide you on this." Both started thinking about this mysterious judge on their way to the fountain. Baba continued, "It's very simple, to be honest. Everyone already knows it. If I ask you what it takes to be a worthy person, what will be your answer?" Abe replied, "He should be brave, physically strong, honest, helping, well-mannered, and overall a good human being." Avatar added, "Focused, intelligent." Baba agreed, but told them they are forgetting one major trait that is most often neglected. They both thought about it, but could not guess the answer. Looking at their confused faces, he said, "Think about it. I will take your leave for some time, but till then think how worthy you are according to what you just said." Baba got up, took a small piece of cloth that he tied to make a makeshift bag, and left the cave heading into the woods. As he left, both started discussing what other qualities could be. Abe got a great idea, and Avatar could see that on his face even before he said, "Forget this. Why don't you follow him into the woods? He must not have gone too far. You could still catch him. I am sure if he is telling the truth, then he goes to the fountain every day. But that's not what noble person would do. This was his only condition to go on that path. Avatar replied, as his heart did not give him permission to do so. Well, you just said a worthy person needs to be intelligent. Isn't this smarter and faster way to know the truth? Also, he never said anything about following him. Abe tried to convince him harder. He did say he cannot take us there and we had to find the fountain ourselves. It's not the same, we are finding it smartly ourselves. This is our idea to go there. Aren't you at least a little bit curious to see where he goes? I thought you were adventurous, but maybe I was wrong. Abe could sense Avatar also wanted to go, but needed a little nudge. He continued, at least check if you can still see him. This incessant motivation from Abe was finally weakening his resolve to not go after Baba. Reluctantly he got up and dragged his feet to ledge and peeked out and said, I can see him, he's about to enter the forest. Then what are you waiting for? Go behind him or you'll use him, go, just go! Abe pushed him. Avatar stepped his foot out of the cave but realized he was leaving footmarks. He then very cautiously put his next foot on Baba's footprints. It worked. But this was slowing him down. And Baba had already entered the woods. Good, now there's no risk of him seeing me. It was probably impossible to catch him without tracking the trail of his footsteps in the snow. Still no sign of any person passing from here, he thought, looking as far as he could in every direction. This place was surprisingly secluded, being not very far from the regular path to the peak of the mountain. He came to the edge of the forest. Even though the forest was not very dense, he still could not see Baba anywhere in sight, so he continued on Baba's trail. Going in, he was thinking about Baba's warning of not being ready for this and how unprepared people starting this journey have suffered. Was he referring to wild animals that roam this forest? He was about to find out, or he hoped he did not. Although Avatar had been on many such treks before, he was never all alone in such a secluded forest. He was a little scared but also excited, as this was something very different from an adventure in this enchanted forest. All his earlier treks were for relaxing, just to prove himself he could do it. But this was different. Here stakes were too high. If Baba was telling the truth, this could change his life forever. Meanwhile, Abe was all alone in the cave, happy his plan had finally worked. He couldn't believe he could manipulate Avatar to go follow Baba to the fountain. He was praying Avatar would find the fountain. Maybe it could also heal his wounds, maybe it wasn't the paste that partially healed his leg but the water he used to make the paste. He was losing his mind being all alone, with so much going on in his mind. Avatar, on the other hand, was strolling with high spirits in the beautiful snow-covered forest, in his pursuit to find Baba. However, his adventure suddenly came to a halt because of a huge tree fallen in his path. As he came closer, he realized the true size of the tree, as its trunk was almost his height. It also looked as if it had recently fallen, maybe the same day of the accident. Well, Baba was not lying. This is not exactly a walk in the park, he thought. He jumped to check what was beyond the tree. All he saw was more footsteps along the snowy trail. He tried to jump and climb up the tree, but his legs slipped, and he fell back on the ground, making a man-shaped figure in the snow. He shrugged the snow and got himself up and tried to climb up, this time more carefully. This time he was able to climb the tree without much problem. While on top, he tried to use the elevation to his advantage, and see Baba. He saw nothing but more footsteps, but the footsteps suddenly took a turn into the forest. He stopped and looked around the beautiful forest where the sunlight was beaming through the barrier of the snow-clad tall trees. It was as if the nature lover in him just wanted to soak every moment he was there. After a few minutes, he jumped off the tree and continued on his track. He soon reached the spot where Baba left the trail and entered deep in the forest. He followed the footsteps, and the path was covered with dense shrubs from both sides. It was becoming difficult to walk without any tool to move them aside. He finally reached the end of it. The footsteps then led him to a small open ground surrounded by the tall trees. As he came out, he saw Baba moving to the other end. He came back into the cover and started observing Baba. Baba was almost in the middle of the ground when he suddenly stopped and started removing his cloth he had wrapped around him. He then started walking forward, and as he took each step, he started disappearing in the ground. This intrigued Avatar even more, but he was not able to see this clearly from where he was hiding. Baba soon came back up completely drenched. He wiped himself up, covered himself with a cloth and headed back. Oh no, he's coming back here, Avatar realized, and quickly found a different spot to hide. As Baba headed back into the forest, Avatar waited for some time to make sure he was gone. Once he was assured that Baba had left, he quickly reached the spot. As he came close, he saw a small pond, which is exactly what he was expecting. It looked nothing extraordinary. However, it must be a sight to look at from the air, with a pond in the middle of the ground covered in snow right in the middle of the forest. Was this it? Have I struck gold? Thought Avatar. He tried to dip his hand in the water, and it was ice cold. Avatar did want to take a dip in that water, but was a bit apprehensive as he had nothing to wipe himself once he got out. Being a doctor, he very well knew the risk of hypothermia and decided not to take a dip. He drank as much water as he could just in case. The cold water did feel nice, especially when he was thirsty after that long walk. He filled the bottle he brought for Abe, had a few sips himself. It was cleanest, tastiest water he ever had. He realized Baba had taken a full dip, so he couldn't resist his urge, and dipped his head in the pond. The water was too cold for him. It felt like small needles piercing him. He removed his head rather quickly, yet his face went numb for some time. He wiped his face with his hands, and headed back to the cave. After some time he felt very refreshed, but did this mean the water was special, or it just meant that Avatar had not taken a bath for 3 days? Am I getting younger? He started touching his face, looked at his hands and found no change. What was I even thinking? At least I got to see this cool spot, he thought, and headed back to the cave. He started rushing back as he did not want to fall far behind Baba, and then later needed to explain to him. He soon reached the cave and ate berries that Baba had just brought, but Baba was not to be seen in the cave. Avatar inquired Abe about Baba's whereabouts, to which he replied by pointing to the inner part of the cave. It is done, Avatar spoke softly, tapping the bottle that he removed from his back. This was music to Abe's ears. He almost started dancing with joy. He took the bottle from Avatar's hands, and wasted no time finishing half the bottle in one go. Avatar stopped him from completely drinking the water. Hey, what are you doing? We need a sample of this, remember? As much as he wanted to drink it completely, he stopped, as he could see his millions and early retirement. Baba came back with some fruits as he usually did. He again checked Abe's leg, and it was recovering fast. At this rate you'll soon be able to walk in a few days, Avatar added. Baba also nodded in affirmation. Baba also both did you think about what he had asked before going into the woods? Avatar had completely forgotten about that and did not have an answer. It was very evident from his face. Baba asked Avatar why he seemed a little tense. Avatar tried to brush it off, to which Baba said, "It is very difficult to think about anything else in that enchanting forest. I do not blame you, it is indeed a place like no other." Avatar panicked and said, "What are you saying? I was here the whole time, just went out to catch some fresh air." "Just fresh air or fresh water?" Baba asked with a smile on his face. Abe jumped in to cover Avatar and said, "Yes, he was with me and came back in a few minutes. He couldn't have gone too far, nowhere near the woods, not in that time." Baba replied, "But I saw you hiding near the magic pond, where I go to take a bath." Abe interrupted Baba, "Magic pond?" "Yes, that's what the local Sherpas call it, as it had appeared suddenly a few hundred years ago, most likely created from meteorite fall. No trees grow near it, locals stay away from it because of this. They think it is cursed, but I think its water has many medicinal qualities, so I go there regularly. But today when I went there I sensed somebody following me. Also there was a mark of a person falling near the tree, and the snow on your shoulder and hair tells me it was you." Avatar knew there was no use of lying now. He looked at Abe, who also nodded in support. "Yes, you are right. I did follow you all the way to that pond," Avatar said with guilt in his voice. Baba replied, "You didn't make any mistakes following me. You were curious and wanted to know the truth. Remember, we were discussing what qualities a worthy guy needs to have. Curiosity is certainly one of them." Both were relieved to hear this from Baba. It even brought a smile on Abe's face. "See, I told you it's okay to follow him." Baba continued, "Well, about that, it was not a great idea to silently stalk me. I would have preferred you asked me directly. Wouldn't that be a braver thing to do? You both also could have told the truth when I asked about it." Both looked at each other with the smile now wiped off their faces, as they knew he was not wrong. "Now tell me, do you qualify according to your set definition of a worthy guy?" Baba asked. They both answered in faint voices, "No." Abe added, "What you said is right, but we still managed to get it, didn't we? So it all worked out for us in the end." Baba smiled and replied, "Did it really? It is one thing to get something but another thing to actually be able to keep it." You may get something even if you don't deserve it. But you will only be able to keep it if you truly deserve it. Both started thinking how true it really was, and they had experienced it firsthand. Avatar replied, "You are right, Baba. I have had a similar experience. I once inherited a decent amount of money from my grandfather. It was not life-changing but decent enough to build something good, but I was not satisfied with it and got greedy. I wasted it on things I didn't need, and frankly I don't even remember where I spent it, and rest of it I bet on very risky investments to get rich quick. As you can imagine, very soon I realized I had nothing left of it. Now I realize if I had kept at least half of it, I would have gotten through my med school." Avatar replied, "Look who's talking, why don't you talk about the things you did when you were with Shirley?" Avatar was interrupted by Abe, who said, "Whoa, let's not go there. You know that's a sensitive topic for me." But Avatar kept staring at him, and Abe eventually caved and started narrating his experience. "Fine. I once dated a very beautiful girl. She was way out of my league. Everything was going very well, so much that I couldn't believe that someone like her could ever date me. This made me somewhat insecure and slowly led to jealousy. I used to get jealous seeing her with anyone, in constant fear and anxiety that she would leave for somebody better than me. She knew this and even tried to brush off my fears, but because of that, this idea entered her subconscious mind. And due to this fear, I started acting weird. She never cheated on me, but as you can guess, it did come true. All because I didn't deserve her then, or at least I thought I did not." Hearing this, Avatar started laughing and mocked Abe. "Yes, I remember, back then I always thought how this fool ended up with her. I even asked her about this, but she replied she thought you were cute and funny. I don't know why she said that. It was then when I realized that love truly is blind, but I know she wanted it to work. So it definitely was you who messed up. I surely did. But now that I look back, it turned out pretty well for me." Abe replied with a smile. Baba, looking at Abe, said, "I can see the love in your eyes for your wife. This looks like true love." Abe smiled and nodded in affirmation. "Yes, I can't imagine my life without her. But enough about me. We are getting sidetracked here. Let's concentrate on what you were saying, Baba." Baba replied, "I just wanted to tell you that the water from the pond is not the water you are looking for, but surely is special and medicinal." Avatar replied, "It's not. No, you are bluffing because you don't want us to have it." Baba quickly replied, "I don't lie, my friend. The quest you want to go to is a long one. Did you really feel like it was this water from the pond?" "The place felt pretty mystical to me," Avatar replied with a deflated voice, as he realized the water he had was just Baba's bath water and not magical water. "I am sorry to disappoint you, but if you want to reach the Fountain of Youth, you will have to make some difficult decisions. You will even encounter poisonous snakes. It will not be this easy. It really takes someone special to get there." Abe replied, "Hey, you never mentioned snakes earlier. You can't squash our hopes like this now." Baba replied, "Don't worry. I will guide you on how to get there, and how you can tame the snakes and find the fountain. But as I said, you will have to take the journey alone." Baba paused for a moment to give them some time to come back with questions, but there were none, so he continued, "Before everything, I want to know about you. So tell me, who are you?" Abe wasted no time and started introducing himself. "Oh right, we haven't introduced ourselves yet. Well, I am Abraham. I am an archaeologist and a professor of history in a reputed university in the US. Avatar added, "And I am Dr. Avatar. I practice medicine at one of the best hospitals in India." Baba kept staring at them as if he did not get his answer yet, and wanted something more from them. Abe understood this and continued, "I have a family back home. It's just my wife, who I love, as you already know, and my son, who's just started going to school. I spend most of my time after work with my family. I am just your average Joe, really. Nothing special about me." Avatar followed him as he stopped. "I live here in Delhi with my mother. I am mostly working all day, and even on many weekends, so I don't really have much time for anything after that, really. When I do take vacations, I like to go on adventures like this, without the accident, I mean." Baba, after hearing this, said, That is all right, but both of you are still to answer my question." Both were a little confused as to what this man really wanted to know. Sensing this, Baba added, "You ask yourself, who am I?" Avatar said, I have never really asked myself that question before." "Well, this is one deep question, but let me think a little about this." He gestured to Abe if he had the answer. "Don't even look at me for such questions. It's going to be totally on you for this one, buddy. Maybe I will copy your answer, Abe said. Who would believe this guy is a professor? Avatar just couldn't stop himself from this snarky comment. Probably every professor. But honestly, I am injured too. Injured people don't answer such deep questions. Abba replied with a silly grin. Avatar shook his head and started contemplating on Baba's question. After taking his time, he answered, I don't know. But maybe that's why I come here in the mountains whenever I can, to find myself. I like this also because I have always been an introvert. What else? Ah yes, I am also more of a logical thinker. Quer. After hearing this, Abe jumped in. It's called being an overthinker if you asked me, but whatever. I believe I have my answer now. I am exactly opposite of what Avatar just said. I am more of an extrovert, who loves to be around people. I am a little bit emotional as well, and get carried away sometimes. Avatar replied, he's an emotional fool if you ask me. He takes every decision on the whims of his emotions. But Baba, did our answers come close to what you were expecting? Baba replied, it's a good start for now, based on what you guys said. Abe, you are more social and being with people gives you energy, whereas Avatar is instinctively asocial that enjoys quiet time with himself and this gives you energy. Avatar replied, yes exactly, don't get me wrong, I like attention from people. I am not antisocial, but it's like going to social events and talking to a lot of people does drain my energy sometimes. Avatar realized that the conversation was going in a tangent. But Baba, what does this have to do with the fountain? He asked. Baba replied, the fountain is on top of the Snake Mountain. Many paths will get you there, but you should choose the path carefully as each path has different challenges. So you need to find out how to traverse each of them, and then select the one that naturally fits you the best. Abe couldn't resist asking, what challenges are you talking about? From the name it looks one of these challenges involve the poisonous snakes you mentioned earlier, he continued, as soon as he saw Baba nodded in affirmation. Yeah, then I have made my decision. No more mountains for me. That's definitely not my path, count me out for sure. Baba smiled, I had a feeling that path is not for you. Don't worry, there are many to choose from. First path is the toughest out of all, but it's also the fastest way. It starts at the base of the great mountain. You will have to leave all your belongings there and start the hike with as little as possible. This is important because even if you start from a large flat base, the climb becomes very steep at the top. Only somebody with great balance and a sharp mind should even think of going this way. As I said earlier, you will also find poisonous serpents along the way, and let me tell you, they can sense fear. They will definitely attack if they sense you show any hostility. There is a chance that you might not encounter them at all, but hope that you spot one, because if you do, know that you are on the right track as they might lead you to your destination. Along the way you will also find strange things that will tempt you to stop there. Avatar interrupted Baba to ask, like what? Like a secret treasure? Baba continued, you tell me, if you get the gold will you stop? Abe replied, why would I stop? I will get some gold. Only as much as I can carry and continue my ascent, and get the rest later when I get back. Baba replied, you are smart. Let me know how that turns out for you when you come back. Both were very excited to hear about the treasure and the fountain. But Avatar wanted to know more about what else one can expect on that mountain, so he requested Baba to tell more.